My name is Alina. I was 28 years old the day my parents told me not to come home, and smiled like they were doing me a favor. It didn't happen during a fight. There was no screaming, no slammed doors, no dramatic moment you see in movies, just a quiet phone call on a random Tuesday afternoon. Alina, it's better if you don't come back anymore. That's what my mother said. Calm, cold, final. At first, I thought she was joking, because how does a mother just erase her daughter? But then my father took the phone, and the silence in his voice hurt more than any insult ever could. We've done enough for you. Enough. That word stayed in my chest like something sharp, because I knew what it really meant. It meant, you're not the daughter we wanted. And the worst part, I wasn't surprised. I should probably explain. Because families like mine don't break in one moment. They crack slowly, quietly, over years. Growing up, I was never the favorite. That title belonged to my younger sister, Vanessa. Vanessa was everything my parents loved. Beautiful, charming, effortless. She didn't try. She didn't need to. Teachers adored her. Relatives praised her. Even strangers noticed her. And me? I was the responsible one, the quiet one, the one who didn't cause problems, the one who cleaned up everyone else's mess. When Vanessa forgot her homework, I helped her finish it. When she got into trouble, I was the one who explained it away. When she cried, my parents comforted her. When I cried, I learned to do it silently, because no one came. I remember one night clearly. I was 16, Vanessa was 14. She had crashed my father's car, completely her fault. But when my parents found out, they didn't yell at her. They looked at me. Why didn't you stop her? I still hear that question sometimes, like I was supposed to control her choices, like her mistakes were somehow my responsibility. That's when I realized something. In our house, I wasn't a daughter. I was a buffer, a shield. Someone who existed to make things easier for everyone else. But I stayed, because that's what daughters do, right? They endure, they hope, they wait for love that might never come. Things got worse when I turned 22. That's when I met Daniel. He wasn't rich, he wasn't flashy, but he saw me, not as Vanessa's sister, not as the responsible one, just me. For the first time in my life, I felt chosen. And that terrified my parents, because Daniel didn't fit into their perfect image. He didn't come from money. He didn't have connections. And worst of all, he didn't treat them like they were superior. So they started their usual game. Subtle comments. Backhanded compliments. Are you sure you can do better than this? Don't you think you're settling? But this time, I didn't back down. And that's when everything changed. The final breaking point came a year later. Vanessa had gotten herself into serious trouble. Debt, lies, the kind of mess that could destroy a reputation. And once again, my parents turned to me. Fix it. That's what my father said. Not help. Not please. Fix it, like I always did. But something inside me snapped. For the first time in my life, I said no. And the silence that followed, it was heavy, dangerous, unforgiving. My mother's voice turned cold. So you're choosing yourself now? I remember my hands shaking, but I didn't back down. Yes. Just one word, but it changed everything. That's when they said it. Then don't come back. Just like that. No hesitation, no regret. Like I was disposable. I packed my things that same night. Not because they forced me out physically, but because I finally understood something. You don't need someone to slam the door. Sometimes they just make it clear you were never welcome to begin with. The months after that were the hardest of my life. No family, no support, no safety net. Just me and Daniel. We struggled. There were nights we couldn't afford proper meals. Days when I questioned everything. Was I wrong? Should I have stayed quiet like always? Should I have kept fixing things that were never mine to fix? But then Daniel would look at me and say something simple. You're not the problem. And slowly, I started to believe it. 2 years later, he proposed. It wasn't extravagant, no big crowd, no dramatic setup, just a quiet evening, a small ring, and a question that felt real. Will you build a life with me? Not complete me, not save me, build together. And I said yes, without hesitation, because for the first time, I wasn't choosing survival, I was choosing happiness. Now here's where the story takes a turn, because despite everything, despite the years of neglect, rejection, and silence, I still sent them an invitation. Yes, my parents and Vanessa, not because I wanted them there, but because I needed something. Closure. Or maybe proof. Proof that they would finally show up for me. Just once. Weeks passed. No reply, no call, nothing. And honestly, it didn't hurt as much as I expected, because deep down, I already knew. But then, the wedding day came. The venue was beautiful, simple, elegant, peaceful. Everything I had dreamed of, without the chaos of my past. I was standing at the front, dressed in white, hands slightly shaking, heart racing. Not from fear, but from something new. Peace. And then, I saw them, standing at the back. Not in the front row, not walking me down the aisle, not part of the moment, just there, like strangers. My mother looked uncomfortable. My father avoided eye contact. And Vanessa? She looked exactly the same. Confident, untouched, like nothing had ever happened. And in that moment, something shifted inside me, because I realized something powerful. They didn't come because they loved me. They came because they were curious. Curious to see the life I built, without them. I held Daniel's hand tighter, took a deep breath, and smiled. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't standing there as the girl they rejected. I was standing there as the woman who survived them. But what they didn't know was that I had one final surprise waiting. Not for revenge and anger, but for truth. The kind of truth that changes everything. And by the end of that night, they wouldn't just be standing in the back. They'd be wishing they never came at all. I kept my smile steady, but inside, every memory I had buried started rising again. Not to break me this time. No, this time, they were fuel. The ceremony began. Soft music, warm lights, calm voices. Everything felt peaceful. And that's what made their presence feel so out of place. Because chaos has a way of announcing itself, even when it stays quiet. I didn't look at them again. Not once. Because for the first time in my life, they weren't the center of my world. They were just background noise. When it was time to walk down the aisle, something unexpected happened. I didn't hesitate. I didn't look back, hoping my father would step forward. I didn't wait for permission. I walked alone, step by step, with my head high, not abandoned, not rejected, chosen by myself. And every step I took felt like reclaiming a piece of the girl they tried to erase. I could feel their eyes on me, confusion, judgment, maybe even a little discomfort. Good. For once, let them feel something. When I reached the altar, Daniel looked at me the way he always does, like I'm enough. Not extra, not invisible, not second, enough. And suddenly, everything else faded. We exchanged vows, his voice steady. Mine, a little emotional, but not weak. Never weak again. I promise to stand beside you, not behind you. That's what he said, and I felt that. Because my whole life, I had been standing behind people who never even turned around. When it was my turn, I didn't just speak to him. I spoke to myself too. I promised to never shrink, just to make others comfortable. That line? It wasn't in the original vows, but it needed to be said. The ceremony ended with applause. Real applause. Not forced, not polite. Genuine. And for a moment, I just stood there, taking it in. Because this was what love actually felt like. But the real moment came after. The reception hall was glowing, soft gold lights, music humming in the background, people laughing, celebrating, living. everything my childhood home never was. I stayed close to Daniel at first, greeting guests, smiling, thanking everyone. But I could feel it, that pull, that unfinished business standing quietly at the back of the room. And then, they approached. Of course they did, because people like them don't stay invisible for long. My mother reached me first. Her smile was tight, controlled, like she didn't know what role she was supposed to play. "Alina, you look beautiful." There it was, that word, carefully chosen, like it cost her something to say it. I smiled politely. "Thank you." Just that, nothing more. No emotion, no warmth, just distance. My father stepped forward next, cleared his throat. "You did well." Not, "We're proud of you." Not, "We missed you." Just, "You did well." Like I had passed some test. Even now. Even here. And then Vanessa. She tilted her head slightly, scanning everything. The venue, the guests, my dress, me. I didn't expect all this. Of course she didn't, because in her mind, I was still the backup character, the one who fades into the background. I looked at all three of them, really looked, and for the first time, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel angry. I didn't even feel hurt. I felt clear. "This is my life now," I said calmly. And those 6 words, they hit harder than any scream ever could. There was an awkward silence, the kind that fills a room when truth finally shows up. But I wasn't done, not even close. "Actually," I said, turning slightly toward the stage, "there's something I want to share with everyone." Daniel glanced at me, not confused, not worried, just trusting, because he knew this wasn't impulsive. This was planned, carefully, quietly, for a long time. The music softened, guests turned, curious, and then the screen behind us lit up. At first, it looked like a normal wedding slideshow. Childhood photos, memories, moments. But not the ones people expected. The first image appeared, me, 8 years old, holding a drawing, smiling. Then the next image, the same day, Vanessa standing beside me, my parents kneeling next to her, praising her, while I stood just slightly out of frame. A soft murmur spread through the room. Confusion, curiosity. Then came another, a school award ceremony, my name on the certificate. But the photo? Focused on Vanessa again, because she had shown up. That was enough. The room grew quieter, heavier, and then the audio started. Real recordings, old voicemails, saved messages, words I never thought I'd play out loud. "Why can't you be more like your sister?" My mother's voice, clear, sharp, unmistakable. Another clip. "You're not the one we worry about. You'll manage." My father, dismissive, cold. Gasps, whispers, people shifting in their seats. I didn't look at the screen, I looked at them. Because this was the first time they couldn't control the narrative. Vanessa stepped back slightly, her confidence cracking, just a little. My mother's face went pale. My father clenched his jaw. And I felt calm. Not angry, not shaking, just steady. "This isn't revenge," I said into the microphone, my voice clear, controlled. "This is the truth." I paused. Let it sink in. Let them feel it, even just a fraction of what I had carried for years. "I spent most of my life believing I wasn't enough," I continued. "But the truth is," I took a breath, and for the first time, I said it out loud. "They were never enough for me." Silence, complete silence. And in that moment, everything changed. Not just for them, but for me. Because I wasn't that invisible girl anymore. I wasn't the one standing in the background. I wasn't the one fixing their mess. I was the one telling the story now. And they were finally the ones standing in the back. But the night wasn't over yet, because what happened next was something none of us expected. The room stayed silent, but then something unexpected happened. A voice broke through the tension. "Enough." It was my father. For the first time that night, he didn't sound controlled. He sounded shaken. He stepped forward slowly, eyes no longer avoiding mine. And in that moment, I saw it. Not power, not pride, regret. Real regret. I didn't realize, he started, but his voice cracked. Didn't realize. Those two words almost made me laugh, because how do you not realize years of neglect? How do you not see the daughter standing right in front of you, fading? My mother wiped her tears but didn't step closer. Vanessa? She said nothing. For once, she had no performance left. I took a deep breath. This was it. The moment I had imagined 100 times. The moment where I could break them the way they broke me. But I didn't. Because revenge had already happened. Not in the screen, not in their embarrassment, but in this. I was whole, without them. I didn't do this to hurt you, I said quietly. I did this so I never forget what I survived. Then I looked at them one last time. Not with anger, not with longing, just acceptance. You don't get to be part of my life now, just because I built something beautiful without you. And with that, I turned away, walked back to Daniel, to my real family, to the life I chose. Behind me, they stood exactly where they belonged, in the back. Not abandoned, not rejected, just no longer needed. And for the first time in my life, that didn't hurt. It felt like freedom.